you will not be able to afford this crypto in a few years. There's obviously a lot of excitement for crypto long term. I'm a huge bull on crypto. But recently, we've actually seen a little bit of bearish sentiment. I actually did a video earlier today talking about how to get ready for the next crypto crash and why we will see one, because there's always a crash coming. Right now, we are at a point where the market's looking a little bit weaker. We have some fear in the short term. Bitcoin, typically in pre-halving years, goes down 21.3%. The ROI of Bitcoin in July, usually down 4.7%, it actually went down 4.09%, and we are starting to see the price fall below the bull market support band. Now at this point, we do have an important level around 27,500, where if we hold that trend, it's bullish. If we break down, we could see some negative price action. However, a lot of people look too closely at the short term and don't think about the long term. Of course, we want to buy in at the right price. If we knew that there's going to be a sale for Bitcoin next week, we wouldn't all go out and buy as much Bitcoin as we can right now. But in the long term, Bitcoin is something that you need to hold. And today I want to talk about why it's going to get very expensive over the long term and how you can get the amount of Bitcoin you want. Right? Whether you want to be an overachiever or just get a little bit of Bitcoin before the next bull run. We'll talk about that and also show, like I said, some of the reasons that Bitcoin's going to get really expensive. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn that bell notification. If you want to know what I'm buying and selling, you should hit the subscribe button. You should hit the bell because I constantly update on here. And then if you want to get real-time updates, you can check out the link to the Patreon. So as I said earlier today, I made a video talking about the bull versus the bear side, more of the bear side. Why people think that we're actually at a pretty difficult time in crypto right now. But I said that I want to do the bull side, and that is the long-term outlook of Bitcoin continuing to get better. As I said, this is zooming in. When in doubt, zoom out, and we can see that typically Bitcoin has a bear market, goes on a massive run, goes in a bear market, goes on a massive run, and continues to do that, continues to become more and more valuable. It's an interesting time right now where companies in the crypto market are buying up Bitcoin. Tether bought about $70 million worth of Bitcoin just last quarter, adding a lot to their balance sheet. They have 55,000 Bitcoin. We have Michael Saylor, who's also adding Bitcoin. We have companies like Tesla that hold Bitcoin. We have companies like BlackRock and Fidelity trying to get into Bitcoin. And recently, seeming like they became real believers in Bitcoin, wanting to bring ETFs to the masses. That would unlock a whole new wave of investor, a whole bunch of investors that start to add it to their retirement accounts, to their trading portfolios, people that just don't want to have to deal with it right now because it's too much work. But yeah, if they have a couple $100 from a dividend from some ETF, they might just throw it in Bitcoin for the long term. We would also have pensions be able to buy easier, large institutional managers be able to buy easier. And this would, like I said, unlock a wave of new capital into the market. This will be insane once we get a spot ETF, and maybe we have a little bit of a sell-off when it happens, but long-term, very bullish for Bitcoin. We also just know that the time is ticking. We continue to get closer and closer to the next halving. This is a new chart by the Rational Root, just showing how the cycles are usually broken down, right? We have this bull cycle, bull market of 2021. Then we have a 1-year bear market. 2022 was basically a whole bear market, just down and down and down. We move into a 2-year recovery and enter the early bull market phase. So this is kind of the recovery here. Then this is the beginning of the bull market. So starting to gain a little bit of momentum. Now we are at this recovery point right now where we're still just trying to get our feet underneath us. We have made a nice bounce from the bottom, but the crazy returns in the market aren't for about 2 more years, maybe a year and a half. That's typically when we start to see the greed come out, a lot of people flowing into crypto. And there will be a lot of people that buy when Bitcoin's 50,000, 100,000, 150,000. And the fact is they won't be able to get their hands on a full Bitcoin. We're to that point. If you looked a couple cycles ago, people were talking about buying hundreds of Bitcoin. There were tweets about people saying that they felt like they missed the boat because they only have 600 Bitcoin back when it was a few dollars. Then 2017, people wanted their hands on a full Bitcoin. It was maybe $10,000, $12,000. You could buy it, or you could buy a nice used car. Last cycle, we went up to 65,000. People just couldn't, unless you were wealthy, you could not buy a full Bitcoin. Think about people in other countries. They can't buy a full Bitcoin. The great thing about Bitcoin is you can buy a fractional Bitcoin. You can buy some Satoshis. So you can buy those for pennies, less than pennies. So you can get your hands on some Bitcoin. But the fact is, it's really hard right now for people to buy a full Bitcoin. If you're someone 25, you make $40,000 a year, $50,000 a year, maybe you're 30, whatever it is, it's hard to buy a full Bitcoin. 30,000, if you're investing $1,000 a month, which is great on a 4,000 a month salary, you're probably not putting it all into Bitcoin. You're probably buying stocks and ETFs as well. So maybe you put, let's say you're really aggressive and you put $500 a month into Bitcoin. After a full year, that will buy you just about 1/4 or a fifth of Bitcoin. Now, I want to show you how you can hit those numbers here in a second, but it's getting harder and harder to buy a full Bitcoin. And this next cycle will be insane because people will not be able to buy a full Bitcoin. When we hit 100,000, 150,000, and we eventually go into the next bear market and we're at $60,000, $70,000 Bitcoin, people in the bear market still can't buy it a full Bitcoin. Even if they dollar cost average for a year or two, they're going to have a hard time. And this is a point too where some people think we're actually going to have Bitcoin's price go up even faster than the last cycle because we're actually seeing a supply shock. You have to realize every time the halving happens, it cuts down on the new Bitcoin that can be issued. So a lot of people just sell. If they're miners, they sell to fund buying more miners or to pay off employees and that kind of stuff. Pay employees, pay for equipment, pay for electricity. So they do unload a lot of the Bitcoin onto the market. And as we can see, Epoch 1, there's 5 Bitcoin a day. There's people mining, but there wasn't really a point in selling it because it was just a pain in the butt. Epoch 2, there's a lot more selling, 768 Bitcoin per day. Even though there's less Bitcoin being mined, there are a lot of people that could make more money from doing it. Epoch 3, we start to get huge institutional players, right? Think about all the big Bitcoin miners, 1,400. And then this switch where there's not enough Bitcoin to go around. The miners are mining and selling, but they can't sell enough to actually make the Bitcoin on exchanges go up, the Bitcoin balance on exchanges. So we're hitting this interesting point where, yeah, we had like a 20x in Epoch 2 or whatever it was, maybe more than that, from 2014 to 2017, big increase. Epoch 3, we had a large increase from the bottom, but when you look top to top, where we went from 17 in 2017, 17,000 or 19,000, depending on where you look, to 67,000, like a 3.5x. A lot of people think, oh, does that mean that we only have a 2x, 3x for this next halving cycle? We may have more than that. It might go back up. Some people are talking about that. The Rational Root just talked about how we could, and this is the more bullish scenario, we could actually see us reaccelerate. The thought of diminishing returns may not actually take place. Think about that. We got a 5 or 10x during the next cycle. And that's what some people think. That's what ARK Invest thinks. That's what the Rational Root is talking about possibly happening. So at that point, if you go up to a $250,000 Bitcoin, no one's going to be able to buy it except for the really, really wealthy. Millionaires. Millionaires are going to be able to buy, no one else. Of course, you can still, dollar cost average, you can still add to your Bitcoin stack, but being a whole coiner will basically be gone. And the macro continues to get better too. This is something that I just put together. Let me know if you guys like this because I thought this was kind of interesting. I put this together with the CPI, PPI, PCE, and then I just average them. I don't know why more people don't do this because we have inflation numbers from 3% to basically 0%. So I just averaged these out. And what we've seen is every single month over the last 13 months, we've had inflation go down. If you total these up, we're at the Fed's 2% inflation if you average these 3 numbers. So inflation is getting better. The consumer is still strong right now. At least earnings look good, but starting to look like there's a lot of debt piling up. There are going to be student loan payments coming soon. We are seeing the Fed's debt go up pretty significantly. So I'm thinking there will be this turn in the economy too, which will fund more growth for Bitcoin. More and more people want to use Bitcoin because the Fed will start turning on the printer. And first of all, investors are just going to invest because we typically see Bitcoin go up with more liquidity in the system. But also, people that don't want their savings eroded away will start using Bitcoin more. We're starting to see it more politicized, so more people are hearing about it from presidential candidates, because when you think about America, you think about freedom. When you think about Bitcoin, you think about freedom. So it is kind of one of the reasons that people live in America, is they feel like they have more freedom, and if they're getting their rights taken away, even if it's something like Bitcoin that maybe they don't even want to hold, they still want to have the ability to if they want to, which is kind of interesting. Of course, there are a lot of investors outside the US too. So everyone needs a little bit of Bitcoin, just I think to diversify or away from their own currency. Here's another spreadsheet that I wanted to create. Let me title this. What should it be titled? Buy Bitcoin. Of course, not financial advice. But let's say you wanted to buy Bitcoin, right? You know that it's going to be really hard to buy enough Bitcoin for the next cycle, unless you start right now, right? Right now, let's take a look at some of these stats here. Right now, the total supply of Bitcoin, about 21 million. Now, that's not the circulating supply, but that is the total supply of Bitcoin that can ever be in existence. The available supply, I think, is closer to 14 million. That takes into account the fact that not all Bitcoin have been mined. Also takes into account that there are some people that have lost their Bitcoin that will never get it back. So 14 million Bitcoin. There are 8 billion people on Earth, which means that each person can have about 0.00175 Bitcoin. Now, that's the average. There are a lot of people that hold 500 Bitcoin, 1,000 Bitcoin. Some people that have 100,000. Satoshi has 1 million. So there are people that have a lot of Bitcoin that just won't sell. So the average Bitcoin that people can actually buy is probably lower than this. It's probably like 0.001, 0.0005. It might be 1/3 or 1/2 of this. But let's just say the average is 0.00175. There are also 55 million millionaires. So the average millionaire can hold 0.25 Bitcoin. And then there's also a huge level of hitting a whole coiner status, having 1 Bitcoin. So we're going to look at how much you have to invest if you want to hit these 3 different milestones. I put them in green for money, for making money or making Bitcoin. So if you want to hit 0.00175, how much would you have to dollar cost average over the next, let's say, 12 months to be able to hit that point? Well, it's actually less than you would probably think. To have as much as the average person on Earth, let's assume, because you have to take some assumptions into play here, Bitcoin goes up at 5% a month. Of course, it won't do this exactly, but this would put us around $50,000 a year from now. Of course, you can be more conservative or less conservative, but I am expecting the price to get more expensive. And this probably is a little bit conservative because the halving is happening in April. This would put us around 41,000. I think after this, we'll have some pretty exponential increases in price. It depends on a variable. A bunch of variables here too. But at this point, you would invest about $5.30 a month. So cut out one of your weekly coffees, just one every month. So I guess one of your monthly coffees. Just cut out 1 coffee a month and you will have more than the average person has on the world. So that's pretty easy. Now, this isn't going to give you a bunch of USD value. When you look and you multiply 50,000 times this, it's about $90. So you don't need all that much Bitcoin to be above average on Earth. But keep in mind that this will go up too. I'm not saying that this is the top of the next cycle. I'm just saying if you want to get it done in a year and Bitcoin's around 50,000, this is how much you'd have to invest. If we go up to $200,000 per Bitcoin, then you would have more money. Obviously, you'd have about $360. But for a lot of people, that's not enough. They want to hit maybe quarter coiner status. I'm going to TM that. Quarter coiner status. So you'll have more than the average millionaire on Earth can have. And of course, there are always more millionaires. So how much would you have to invest then? Well, it's about $775 a month. So after that, after 12 months of buying, At the end, you would have about 0.25759. And I say this number because we actually have Bitcoin per millionaire over 0.25. So it's 0.2545. So this would get you above that level. So $775 a month. It's expensive, right? A lot of people can't do that, especially if you're investing in not just Bitcoin, but you're buying some other stuff too, some ETFs. That ends up being about $25.5 a day. And that's after tax too. So that is difficult. That would put you at a quarter coin and would take about $9,300, assuming Bitcoin's price is at these levels. Now, if we hit $200,000 Bitcoin, if we hit 150, if we hit $100,000 Bitcoin, this is still a great investment. You're talking about having a quarter of a coin for $10,000. Your average cost would be around $39,000. So if you could get that and then we move up to $100,000, you're making better than just about everyone that invests. That's a 2.5x in a year. It's unbelievable. Now, if we go obviously past that to 200,000, 300,000, you're doing really well. But this is not going to make you a whole coiner. Even investing $775 a month, so that's basically like a one-bedroom apartment in some cities. For other people, that's like their going out bill for a night, going to the bars with friends. But for some people, that is too easy. $775 a month, they can do that with a day's worth of work. So what if you want to become a whole coiner? Or you just want to add one more whole coin. Maybe you already have 2 or 3 Bitcoin, but you want one more. Maybe it's for your kids. Maybe it's that you want a new house. And you realize if I get a full coin, I can probably sell it, put down payment down during the next bull run. Whatever you want to do with that whole coin, I'll let you decide. But if you want to add one more whole coin, and we assume these numbers continue, where Bitcoin's at $50,000 a year from now, you would have to invest about $3,000, $3,010 actually, every single month to hit one more whole coin. $36,000, and you would have another full coin. Of course, we'll have to see where that goes in the next Bitcoin halving and where this goes during the next bull run, but that could be $200,000 worth of value that you get for $36,000 worth of investment. Now, every day, this is about $99. So you can see where it's going to become more and more difficult to get this whole coin, even right now. If you want to get one full Bitcoin, it's going to take you a very nice house payment, $3,000 a month. Now, I do think it's going to become more and more difficult to add to your stack over time. It's going to be one of those things where if you hold on to your Bitcoin, the best returns you're ever going to get are right at the beginning. Just like if you bought Tesla 5-10 years ago, and you're adding and adding and adding, even if it didn't seem like the price was doing much, at some point the price went up so much that even if you make 2 or 3 times as much, you can't invest enough and buy as much as you used to, right? Let's say you're making $50,000 a year now, you get your dream job, it's $150,000 a year. After the next cycle, we might not even be able to buy as much Bitcoin as we are buying right now, even with 3x the salary, because it just becomes more and more difficult. The numbers do go up, and of course, I'm not saying that the price is definitely going to go up, and that we're not going to see any weakness. I think we could see weakness. I talked about that in the video this morning. We could see Bitcoin's price fall down to 22,000, 24,000, 25,000. I gave out some exact estimates in that video, but we could see the price fall down. But this is a reminder that this is typically a good time to be buying. I talked about how yesterday I was buying. And I will continue to buy because number does go up, just a matter of time. Let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video, though. Let me know if this is something that you're looking into, figuring out how you can buy more Bitcoin. Of course, you can always try to arbitrage it, try to buy low, sell high, and then be able to have more Bitcoin, or have more money to throw at Bitcoin on these small little swings. But I am mostly just adding for long term, at least to the next cycle. Then I'll probably shed some, take some profits, keep some Bitcoin as a hedge, but I will reinvest it because I do think I'm going to have a lot of money from Bitcoin after this next cycle. Let me know your thoughts though. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it.